Have you ever pondered what bravery truly means? Is it simply the absence of fear, or could it be something more profound? Let's explore this together. Often we think of bravery as standing up to a physical threat, facing a fear head-on, or perhaps tackling a daunting challenge. But what if I told you that bravery could also be something as simple yet profound as acknowledging one's own mistakes? Yes, it's true. Admitting a mistake, whether it's a minor slip-up or a monumental error, requires a certain level of courage. It's not easy to confront the fact that we've erred, that we've perhaps let ourselves or others down. The fear of judgment, the fear of failure, can be overwhelming. But in that moment of admission, in that moment of vulnerability, we find a form of bravery that is often overlooked. Bravery, it seems, comes in many forms, and one of the most challenging can be the courage to admit our own mistakes. Consider the tale of a man named John, a high-ranking executive at a multinational corporation. John was the epitome of success, with countless accolades and a reputation for his sharp intellect and business acumen. But even the best of us are human, and humans, as we know, are not immune to mistakes. John's error was not a small one. A critical oversight in a major project led to a loss of several $millions for the company. It was a blunder that could tarnish his reputation and cost him his career. At first, John did what many of us might do in such a situation. He attempted to sweep it under the rug, hoping against hope that no one would notice. But as days turned into weeks, the weight of his secret began to bear heavily on him. It was like a shadow that followed him everywhere, a constant reminder of his imperfection. He couldn't sleep, he couldn't eat, he couldn't focus. The guilt was gnawing at his conscience, and the fear of being found out was a constant torment. He was a prisoner in his own mind, shackled by his own mistake. Then, one day, John looked at himself in the mirror and didn't recognize the man staring back at him. This was not the John he knew. The John he knew was a man of integrity, a man who valued honesty over convenience, truth over comfort. He realized that by hiding his mistake, he was betraying his own values. So he made a decision that required more courage than anything he had ever done. He decided to admit his mistake. He walked into his superior's office, his heart pounding in his chest, and confessed. He laid bare his error, accepted full responsibility, and braced himself for the consequences. It was a moment of pure vulnerability, a moment where he stood naked in the face of judgment. But it was also a moment of liberation. For the first time in weeks, he felt a sense of relief wash over him. He had faced his fear, owned up to his mistake, and in doing so, he had set himself free. John's story is not just a story of a mistake and its consequences. It's a story of bravery. Bravery is not always about heroic deeds or grand gestures. Sometimes it's about standing up and owning your mistakes, even when it's easier to hide them. It's about choosing integrity over fear, truth over deceit. John's choice to admit his error, despite the consequences, was a powerful act of bravery. It was a testament to his character, a testament to the fact that courage is not about never making mistakes, but about how we handle them when we do. And in the end, isn't that what true bravery is all about? In the wake of John's admission, the repercussions were immediate and severe. A ripple effect of reactions spread through his life, the shockwaves hitting both his personal and professional world. He lost his job, a position he had held and valued for more than a decade. The whispers started, a low hum of criticism and judgment that seemed to echo in every corner of his life. Yet amid the chaos and the fallout, something unexpected happened. John found himself experiencing an overwhelming sense of relief. It was as if a weight he had been carrying around for years had suddenly been lifted. He could breathe more freely, think more clearly. It was a sensation of liberation that he had not anticipated, but one that was profoundly liberating. The aftermath of John's admission was a stark reminder of the price one pays when they choose honesty over deception, integrity over convenience. It was a hard pill to swallow, no doubt, but it was also a powerful testament to the resilience of the human spirit. Despite the criticism and the loss, John found himself standing taller, feeling stronger, and more at peace with himself. This experience brought about a seismic shift in John's perspective on bravery and mistakes. He had always viewed bravery as the act of facing dangerous situations, of battling external foes. But now, he saw bravery in a different light. It was about confronting one's own mistakes, about owning up to one's actions, about standing up against one's own fears. John learned that admitting a mistake doesn't make you weak, it makes you human. It takes a great deal of courage to admit when you're wrong, to face the consequences, and to accept the judgment. But it is through this process that we grow, that we learn, and that we ultimately become better versions of ourselves. Mistakes, he realized, were not roadblocks, but stepping stones. Each one was an opportunity to learn, to grow, and to become better. They were not something to be feared, but rather something to be embraced. In facing his mistake head-on, John found a new understanding of bravery and the power of admitting one's errors. He discovered that the path to true courage lies not in avoiding mistakes, but in embracing them, learning from them, and ultimately growing from them. John's story is a powerful reminder of the importance of admitting our mistakes. It's a lesson that holds true not just for John, but for each and every one of us. Why is this so important, you might ask? Well, let's delve into this. Admitting our mistakes is a form of self-awareness. It's a recognition that we are not perfect, and that's okay. It's the first step towards learning and growing, towards becoming better than we were yesterday. When we acknowledge our errors, we give ourselves the opportunity to understand where we went wrong and how we can avoid repeating the same mistake in the future. But the benefits of admitting our mistakes aren't just personal. They extend to our professional lives as well. In a work environment, admitting a mistake can be seen as a sign of leadership. It shows that we value truth and transparency over ego. It builds trust and respect among colleagues, creating a culture where everyone feels safe to take risks and learn from their failures. In addition to this, admitting a mistake can also help to diffuse potential conflicts. By owning up to our part in a problem, we can help to prevent a small misunderstanding from escalating into a major conflict. It's a powerful tool for maintaining harmony in our relationships, both at work and in our personal lives. But let's be clear, admitting mistakes is not about self-deprecation or cultivating a sense of guilt. It's about honesty, humility, and growth. It's about acknowledging that we are all works in progress, continually learning and evolving. John's story is not unique. We all make mistakes. We all have the capacity to learn from them. But to do so, we must first have the courage to admit them. Admitting our mistakes, it seems, is not just brave, but also a pathway to growth and understanding. But why do we consider it brave to admit our mistakes? Well, let's delve into that, shall we? Admitting mistakes by its very nature is a daunting task. It requires us to confront our vulnerabilities head-on, to expose our flaws and shortcomings to the world. It's like standing on a stage under the harsh glare of a spotlight, with nowhere to hide. What makes it so terrifying? It's the fear of judgment, the fear of rejection. We live in a world that glorifies perfection. We're constantly bombarded with images of flawless beauty, impeccable success, and unblemished records. In such a world, admitting a mistake is akin to revealing a chink in your armor, a crack in your facade. It's admitting that you're human, fallible, and imperfect. But let's flip the coin for a moment. What's on the other side of that fear? It's the potential for growth, the chance for understanding, the opportunity for improvement. When we admit our mistakes, we open the door to learning. We invite feedback, we encourage dialogue, we foster relationships. We replace defensiveness with openness, arrogance with humility, and fear with courage. And that, my friends, is where bravery comes into play. Overcoming the fear of vulnerability, challenging the societal norms that equate mistakes with failure, and choosing to learn from our errors rather than hide them, that's bravery. It's a quiet, understated form of heroism that doesn't require a cape or a dramatic backdrop. It's the bravery of self-improvement, the courage of self-awareness, the gallantry of personal growth. Bravery in admitting mistakes isn't about grand gestures or heroic acts. It's about the small, everyday choices we make to be authentic, to be real, to be human. It's about choosing truth over comfort, growth over stagnation, understanding over ignorance. In the end, the courage to admit our mistakes is a powerful form of bravery, one that can lead to growth, understanding, and ultimately, a more authentic life.